If you're watching this video, it's because something inside you is screaming that there's a better way to live. You're exhausted from this financial roller coaster that keeps you awake at 3 a.m., calculating bills, dreaming of a life that always seems just out of reach. Today, I'm going to show you why 97% of people never break free from this vicious cycle. I am Solomon, the man who accumulated more gold than any king in human history. And today, I'm going to tell you something I've never shared before. My wealth didn't come from rushing. It didn't come from desperation. It didn't come from working 20 hours a day like a condemned man. It came from silence. While other men ran around like madmen chasing opportunities, I sat in silence and waited. While they made decisions out of fear, I meditated until the right answer revealed itself. While they scattered their energy in 1,000 directions, I cultivated my thoughts like someone polishing a precious jewel. You want to know the true code of wealth? It's not about having more money. It's about becoming the type of person that money seeks out. It's about developing self-mastery so that wealth becomes your servant, not your master. In this video, I'm going to reveal exactly what I did in those silent hours that nobody saw. The routine that transformed my mind before it transformed my coffers. The question that haunted me and changed everything. And most importantly, how you can start today building this mindset of true prosperity. But I need to warn you, this isn't for those who want magic formulas or instant results. This is for those ready for real transformation. For those who understand that wealth without wisdom is a curse disguised as a blessing. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you recognizes there's a better path. Subscribe to this channel now, because what I'm about to share goes against everything you've been taught about money and success. And when you understand this, you'll never look at wealth the same way again. Number 1. Silence as the key to wisdom and wealth. You live in desperate chaos. Every day is the same thing. Wake up, check your phone, chase 1,000 things at once, make rush decisions, react to everything as if your life depended on it. And at the end of the day, you wonder why you still haven't reached where you wanted to be, why you still don't have the wealth you dream of, why it feels like you're walking in circles. I'm going to tell you something that changed my life forever. The greatest wealth I ever accumulated didn't come from movement. It came from silence. When I was young, I thought being king meant speaking loudly, deciding quickly, showing strength at every moment. I confused agitation with action, movement with progress, haste with wisdom. And it almost destroyed me before I even began building my kingdom. That's when I understood a truth that few men discover in their lifetime. Silence isn't the absence of power. Silence is where true power is born. Imagine a rushing river flowing down the mountain, making lots of noise, breaking stones, foaming with rage. It seems powerful, doesn't it? But where's the real strength? In the silent spring, high up on the mountain. That's where everything begins. Without haste, without noise, just flowing from the depths of the earth. This is how decisions that build true wealth are born. They don't arise from the noise of the world. They spring from the silence of the soul. I remember once when 2 merchants came to me with a business proposal. It was a golden opportunity, they said. I needed to decide that day. Everyone around me pressured me to accept. The profit would be immense, immediate. But something inside me whispered, silence. I sent the men away. I said I needed time. They were furious. They said I would miss the chance of my lifetime. For 3 days, I didn't speak to anyone about that business. I simply remained silent. On the 3rd day, the answer came clear as crystal water. There was a trap that no one had seen, a hidden clause that would destroy my kingdom within 2 years. Silence saved me from a financial catastrophe that looked like a golden opportunity. Those 2 merchants, they went bankrupt 6 months later, exactly as the silence showed me would happen. Here's what most people don't understand. They think silence is a waste of time, that it's passivity, that it's weakness. But silence is where you access wisdom that's beyond your limited mind. It's where you hear the voice that knows what your eyes cannot see. While other men make 100 decisions a day and get 90 wrong, the man who cultivates silence makes one decision and gets it right where it matters. You want to know why you can't truly get rich? Because you're making too much noise. Mental noise, emotional noise, social noise. You're always reacting, always running, always desperate to do something. Wealth doesn't come to those who make noise. Wealth comes to those who know how to wait in quietude until the right direction reveals itself. Start today. Turn everything off for 10 minutes. Don't check anything. Don't solve anything. Just sit in silence. At first, your mind will scream. It will convince you that you're wasting time. It will list 1,000 urgent things you need to do. Ignore all of that. Stay silent until the mental agitation calms down. And then, only then, listen. Listen to the wisdom that's beyond your desperation. Listen to the direction that's beyond your hurry. The man who masters silence masters time. And whoever masters time masters wealth. Number 2. Solomon's morning routine that sustained his wealth. You wake up already defeated. Before you even open your eyes completely, your mind is already racing. Phone in hand, notifications, messages, yesterday's unresolved problems. You surrender your mind to chaos before you even define who you want to be that day. And then you wonder why your financial life is an emotional roller coaster, why your decisions are weak, why you always seem to be playing catch-up. The first hour of your day isn't just an hour. It's the mold where your entire existence will be forged. For 40 years as king, I maintained a routine that I never broke. It didn't matter if there was war, if there was celebration, if there was crisis in the kingdom. This routine was more sacred to me than any royal commitment. Every day, 2 hours before sunrise, I would rise, not to work, not to solve problems, but to forge my mind before the world tried to shape it. First, I would read, not news, not urgent reports. I read wisdom, the writings of my ancestors, the eternal laws that govern both kingdoms and riches. I fed my mind with thoughts that had withstood the test of time, not with the anxiety of the moment. Then I would write. But I didn't write problems. Problems are for slaves. I wrote questions, powerful questions, questions that opened my mind to receive answers I didn't yet have. How can I bless my kingdom today? What wisdom do I need to make the right decision? What am I seeing that others are not? Where is the error I haven't yet identified? And then, most importantly of all, I prayed, not asking for things, not begging for results, but connecting my limited mind with the infinite wisdom that governs all things. It was in those silent hours that true strategies were born, not in the throne room, surrounded by desperate advisors, not in urgent meetings full of empty opinions, but there, alone, in the quietude of morning, where my soul could hear what my ears couldn't perceive. I remember a specific morning. There was a terrible drought devastating Israel. The granaries were empty. The people were desperate. My advisors wanted me to lower taxes, to open the kingdom's coffers, to buy grain from neighboring countries at any price. But that morning, while I was writing my questions, something different arose in my mind. What if this crisis is a disguised opportunity? For 7 consecutive days, this question echoed in my morning mind, until the answer came clear as dawn. Instead of spending our reserves buying expensive grain, we invested in building a revolutionary irrigation system. We used the crisis to create infrastructure that would make Israel prosperous for the next 100 years. Result? We didn't just survive the drought. We became the granary of the entire region. The crisis that could have destroyed us became the foundation of our greatest prosperity. All of this was born from a question asked on a silent morning. Here's what you need to understand. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't cultivate good plants in the morning, the weeds of the world will grow on their own during the day. Every bad decision you make, every opportunity you miss, every time you react with fear instead of acting with wisdom, it's because you surrendered your mind to chaos before strengthening it with purpose. The rich man wakes up and defines his day. The poor man wakes up and is defined by the day. Your first hour should be your most sacred hour. It doesn't belong to your boss. It doesn't belong to your family. It doesn't belong to the world's urgencies. It belongs to you and your growth. Turn everything off. Read something that elevates your mind. Write questions that expand your vision. Connect with something greater than yourself. Define who you want to be before the world tries to define who you should be. Do this every day for 3 months, and you'll see your financial life transform. Not because you'll work more, but because you'll think better. And whoever thinks better decides better. And whoever decides better prospers inevitably. Wealth is the daughter of wisdom, and wisdom is born in the silence of morning, when your soul is still pure from the day's contaminations. Number 3, the intimate confession about nearly being dominated by my own wealth. I need to tell you something I've never told anyone, something that embarrasses me to this day, something that almost destroyed everything I built. You think money is your friend, that it's on your side, that the more you have, the freer you'll be. But I'm going to reveal a dark truth I learned in the worst possible way. Money is like fire. In the right hands, it warms, illuminates, and transforms. In the wrong hands, it burns everything until it turns to ashes. There was a period in my life, about 10 years after I became the richest man in the world, when I started making strange decisions. Decisions that didn't make sense to those who knew me. Decisions that contradicted everything I had taught about wisdom and purpose. I didn't notice at first. The change was subtle, gradual, like poison that acts slowly. First, I began measuring people's value by their wealth. If someone was poor, I automatically assumed they were also ignorant. If someone was rich, I paid attention, even if they were a fool. Then, I started choosing my projects, not based on the good they would do, but on the profit they would bring. The temple I was building? I started economizing on materials because I wanted to maximize profits. Social works? I reduced the budget to have more left in the coffers. Then came the worst of all. I started making decisions out of fear of losing, fear that others would become richer than me, fear that my fortune would diminish. I, who had always taught that fear is wisdom's greatest enemy, was being governed by it. One day, my son Rehoboam came to me. He had an idea to expand the kingdom. It was a brilliant idea, full of potential, that would benefit thousands of people. But it would require a high investment, and the return would only come in 5 years. You know what I answered? Son, that's not profitable enough. Profitable enough? I, who had more gold than I could count, said that a project that would change lives wasn't profitable enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something inside me was screaming that I had lost my way, that the man who said no to his own son because of profit was no longer me. It was someone possessed. That's when I understood the most frightening truth about wealth. You think you possess money, but from a certain point on, money begins to possess you. Your decisions stop being based on wisdom, purpose, and love. They start being based on fear, greed, and protection. You become a slave to your own fortune. For 3 months, I locked myself in my chambers. I fasted. I prayed. I meditated. I forced my soul to remember who I was before I had any gold coin. And slowly, painfully, I began to free myself from the invisible chains that wealth itself had placed on me. First, I returned to giving, not leftovers, not crumbs, large amounts that made me feel the weight of letting go. I needed to train my soul not to cling. Then, I started making decisions that didn't make financial sense, but made human sense. I built hospitals without charging. I created free schools. I invested in projects that benefited the poor without giving me any return. Finally, I established a rule I maintain to this day. Before making any financial decision, I ask myself, is this choice being born from love or fear? From purpose or greed? If the answer is fear or greed, I don't do it, no matter how much money I'm going to make or lose. Here's the truth no one tells you about wealth. It's a spiritual force, not just material. And like every spiritual force, It can elevate your soul or corrupt it, depending on how you treat it. If you seek money to serve it, it will enslave you. If you seek money so it serves a greater purpose, it will free you. The test is simple. Look at your last 10 financial decisions. How many were made out of fear of losing? How many were made out of greed to have more? How many were made thinking only of yourself? If most were motivated by fear and greed, you're already being possessed. There's still time to free yourself, but you'll need courage to break the golden chains you forged yourself. Remember, money should be your servant, never your master. The moment you realize you're serving money instead of making money serve good, it's a sign you've lost control. And a man who has lost control of his own wealth isn't rich. He's just a well-dressed slave. Number 4, the most transformative teaching given to a poor man. I'll never forget the day a humble man knocked on my palace doors. He was dirty, with torn clothes, a defeated look. The guards almost expelled him, but something in his eyes caught my attention. It wasn't desperation. It was hunger. Hunger for change. He approached and said something that still echoes in my mind today. "King Solomon, I've worked my whole life. I wake up early, sleep late, do everything right, but I'm still poor. Other men, who work less than me, get rich overnight. Do I lack luck?" Luck. That word pained my heart, because I knew he was asking the wrong question, and whoever asks the wrong question receives the wrong answer their entire life. I looked into that man's eyes and said, "My son, you don't understand what luck is. Luck is the name the impatient give to the patient man's harvest." He was confused, so I sat with him and explained something that completely changed the trajectory of his life. "Do you want to get rich?" I asked. He nodded, yes. "Then stop seeking wealth. Start becoming the type of person that wealth seeks out." I'm going to teach you exactly what I taught him that day. 4 simple principles, but ones most people ignore because they prefer shortcuts to transformation. First, silence the ego daily. The ego is true wealth's greatest enemy. It makes you spend to impress. It makes you make decisions out of pride instead of wisdom. It makes you compete instead of collaborate. I told him to reserve 10 minutes every day to humble himself before something greater than himself, to remember that he didn't know everything, to ask for wisdom instead of results, to be grateful for what he had instead of complaining about what was missing. Second, learn with humility every day. Poor men stop learning when they become adults. They think they already know enough. Rich men never stop learning because they know they still know little. I taught that he should study 1 hour a day. Not just anything. Study how wise men think, how prosperous men decide, how men of integrity act. Study eternal principles, not passing fads. Third, obey wisdom's principles even when it's painful. Most people want wisdom's results, but don't want to pay the price of obedience. Principles like spend less than you earn, always. Give before receiving. Honor commitments even when costly. Treat people well even when they can't reciprocate. Work with excellence even when no one is watching. Fourth, and most important, deeply value what money cannot buy. Character, true relationships, inner peace, life purpose. Because if you don't value what money can't buy, you'll never be worthy of what money can buy. The man listened to me with total attention. Then he asked, "King Solomon, how long will it take for me to get rich if I follow these principles?" I replied, "If you follow them because you want to get rich, it might take your whole life and you might not succeed. If you follow them because you want to become a better man, wealth will come as a natural consequence in the right time." He was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "I'll do exactly as you've taught." 5 years passed. I had forgotten about that encounter when a well-dressed, prosperous man, but with humble eyes, appeared at the palace. It was the same man. He had become one of Jerusalem's most respected merchants, not just rich, but with integrity. His employees loved him. His family was united. His reputation was impeccable. "How did you do it?" I asked, amazed at the transformation. "King Solomon, I stopped trying to get rich and started trying to get wise. Wealth found me along the way." Here's what you need to understand. Wealth isn't a race. It's a construction. It's not about speed. It's about direction. It's not about what you can grab. It's about who you can become. You're desperate to get rich because you're focused on the result instead of the process. You're focused on the destination instead of the journey. You're focused on having instead of being. But true wealth, lasting wealth, that doesn't enslave you and doesn't corrupt you, only comes to those who first become worthy of it. Start today. Silence your ego. Learn with humility. Obey the principles. Value what money can't buy. And then, in the right time, you'll discover that you didn't need to chase wealth. It chased you. Number 5. The true message behind the phrase, "all is vanity." Of all the words I've ever written, none has been more misunderstood than this. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. For centuries, men have read this phrase and concluded that I was saying nothing is worthwhile, that life has no meaning, that it's useless to fight, build, dream, prosper. Nothing could be further from the truth. You live in an era where everyone wants to be seen, wants to be admired, wants to appear, builds their whole life thinking about what others will think, works to buy things they'll post on social media, makes decisions based on the applause they'll receive. And in the end, they feel empty, tired, without purpose, because they're living to feed the ego, not to fulfill a destiny. When I wrote about vanity, I wasn't talking about doing things. I was talking about doing things for the wrong reasons. Working is sacred, but working only to be admired is vanity. Prospering is a blessing, but prospering only to show off is vanity. Building is noble, but building only to have your name engraved is vanity. The difference isn't in what you do, the difference is in why you do it. I remember when I decided to build the most magnificent temple the world had ever seen. I spent fortunes. I brought the best materials from all nations. I hired the most talented craftsmen on earth. Some advisors asked me, "King Solomon, why spend so much? A simple temple would also serve God." They didn't understand. I wasn't building to impress men. I was building to honor the one who gave me wisdom. Every detail, every ornament, every piece of gold was an expression of gratitude, not vanity. But when I built my personal palace, it was different. There I wanted everyone to know how prosperous I was. I wanted kings from other nations to be impressed with my power. I wanted the people to see my glory. The temple brought me peace. The palace brought me anxiety. Same action, building, opposite motivations, completely different results. Here's the truth I need you to understand. It's not vanity to want to prosper. It's vanity to want to prosper only to feed your image. It's not vanity to want success. It's vanity to want success only to feel superior to others. It's not vanity to work hard. It's vanity to work hard only to receive praise. Modern man's problem isn't that he wants too many things. It's that he wants things for the wrong reasons. You want a better car? Ask yourself, is it because you need it or because you want to impress? You want a bigger house? Ask yourself, is it to better shelter your family or to show you've prospered? You want to earn more money? Ask yourself, is it to have more freedom and serve better or to feed your ego? The same action can be sacred or vain, depending on the motivation that moves it. When I said all is vanity, I was warning about the danger of living for appearance instead of living for essence, of building an image instead of building character, of seeking applause instead of seeking purpose. How many men I've known who had everything, but were nothing, who possessed fortune, but lived poor in soul, who were famous, but died forgotten by those who really mattered. This is vanity, having a life that seems full on the outside, but is empty on the inside. Now, how many simple men I've known who had little, but were much, who possessed enough but lived rich in soul, who were unknown to the world, but eternal in the hearts of those they loved. This is substance, having a life that might seem simple on the outside, but is deep on the inside. Work done with love and purpose is never vanity. Wealth conquered to bless is never vanity. Success achieved to serve is never vanity. Vanity is when you do the right things for the wrong reasons. When you build a life that impresses strangers but disappoints those who truly know you. Stop living to feed the image you want to project. Start living to fulfill the purpose you came to realize. Your achievements will have eternal weight when they spring from love, not vanity. When they serve life, not ego. When they honor God, not men's applause. All is vanity when done out of vanity. All is sacred when done out of love. Number 6. The philosophical question that guided my choices. There's a question that haunted me every night before sleep. A question that shaped every important decision of my life. A question that separated my true wealth from my temporary possessions. Every time I accumulated something new, every time I conquered more power, every time I expanded my domains, this question echoed in my mind like an echo that wouldn't leave me in peace. If I lose everything tomorrow, what will remain that no one can take away? You've probably never asked yourself this question. Most men avoid thinking about it because the answer scares them. Because it reveals how much of their lives is built on foundations that can crumble in a matter of hours. But this question saved my soul, because it forced me to invest in what really matters, not just in what appears to matter. At the beginning of my reign, when I was still young and inexperienced, my answer was frighteningly empty. If I lost everything, all that would remain was a confused young man who had been king by chance. This terrified me. I spent the entire night thinking about men I knew who had lost everything. I saw that some completely destroyed themselves. Others rebuilt themselves stronger than before. What was the difference? Those who destroyed themselves had invested only in things that could be taken away: gold, lands, titles, positions. Those who rebuilt themselves had invested in things that were part of who they were: wisdom, character, relationships, faith. That's when I began to completely reorganize my life. Instead of focusing only on accumulating riches, I began to focus on accumulating wisdom, because thieves can steal my gold, but they can't steal what I've learned. Enemies can destroy my palace, but they can't destroy my ability to think. Instead of surrounding myself only with subjects, I began to form men. I invested time teaching young people, molding characters, planting seeds of wisdom in fertile minds. Because a kingdom can be conquered, but the men you form carry your teachings wherever they go. Instead of building only monuments to my power, I began to build legacies of justice, laws that protected the poor, systems that promoted honesty, structures that would last beyond my death. The question followed me like a shadow. With every investment I made, it whispered, "Is this real or illusion? Is this lasting or temporary? Is this yours or borrowed?" I remember a specific day when a merchant offered me an extraordinary business opportunity. It was an exclusive trade route that would triple my wealth in 2 years. All my advisors pressured me to accept. But something about the proposal bothered me. I analyzed the details and discovered that to maintain exclusivity, I would have to bribe officials from 3 neighboring kingdoms. It was technically legal, but morally questionable. That night, the question came stronger than ever. If you lose everything tomorrow, what will remain that no one can take away? If I accepted that business, I would gain a lot of money, but I would lose something more valuable: my integrity. And integrity, once lost, cannot be bought back with all the gold in the world. I refused the deal. My advisors thought I had gone mad, but 6 months later, the scheme was discovered. The 3 kings involved were deposed. The merchants who participated were banished and lost everything. I not only preserved my wealth, I preserved my reputation. And reputation is a type of wealth that multiplies over time instead of diminishing. Here's what this question taught me about true prosperity. Money is like a river. It can flow to you today and away from you tomorrow. But wisdom is like a spring. It flows from within you and doesn't stop flowing, no matter what happens around you. Invest in skills that no one can take from you. Knowledge that becomes part of who you are. Relationships based on genuine love, not interest. Character that remains intact even under pressure. When you ask yourself this question, you'll discover uncomfortable things about your life. You'll realize how much time you've spent accumulating things that can evaporate in a matter of days. But you'll discover something even more powerful. You'll discover that true wealth isn't in what you possess, it's in what you've become. And what you've become, no one can take from you, no matter what happens to the world around you. Start today making indestructible investments. In wisdom, that becomes part of you. In relationships that withstand storms. In character that remains firm when everything around shakes. Because in the end, the only wealth that really matters is that which survives any loss. Number 7. A practical call to the reader who desires wealth with purpose. We've reached the end of this journey, but also the true beginning of your transformation. You've heard everything I had to teach. You now know secrets that few men discover in a lifetime. You know about the power of silence, the importance of morning routine, the dangers of greed, the principles of true prosperity. But knowledge without action is just intellectual entertainment. And I didn't waste time telling you all this to entertain you. I told you to transform you. The great difference between those who prosper and those who remain in mediocrity isn't in what they know. It's in what they do with what they know. Stop now seeking more formulas. Stop looking for more secrets. Stop waiting for magic shortcuts. You already have everything you need to begin. What's missing is courage to start. I'm going to give you 4 specific practices now. They're not complex theories. They're simple disciplines that, practiced consistently, will transform your relationship with money, success, and life purpose. First practice. Reserve 10 minutes every day to completely silence yourself. It's not complicated meditation. It's simply sitting in quietude, away from any external stimulus, and listening. Listening to your deepest thoughts. Listening to the answers that are already within you, but are muffled by the world's noise. Do this religiously for 90 days. You'll discover that your decisions begin to become clearer, your priorities more defined, your anxiety diminished, your wisdom increased. Second practice. Every day, write 3 questions you don't yet know how to answer. Don't write problems. Problems limit your mind. Questions expand your mind. How can I better serve with my talents? What wisdom do I need to learn today? How can I transform this challenge into opportunity? Powerful questions attract powerful answers, and powerful answers generate powerful actions, and powerful actions create powerful results. Third practice. Read the book of Proverbs until it completely transforms your way of thinking. Don't read it once and think you understood. Read it 30 times, 50 times, 100 times if necessary. Each time you read it, you'll discover truths you didn't see before, principles you didn't understand on the first reading, wisdom that reveals itself only to those who persist. These aren't just ancient writings, they're eternal laws about how prosperity really works, about how relationships are built, about how character is formed, about how wisdom develops. Fourth practice. Immediately cut all spending that doesn't contribute to a greater purpose. Be brutal in this evaluation. Stop spending money to impress people who don't even like you. Stop buying things that don't add real value to your life. Every penny you save from empty spending is a penny that can be invested in your transformation, in books that expand your mind, in courses that develop your skills, in experiences that build your character. Money wasted on futilities is future wasted in mediocrity. Now, the most important truth of all, wealth isn't granted by chance, it's granted by character. God doesn't deliver true wealth to men who will be destroyed by it. He delivers wealth to men who are prepared to carry it with wisdom and purpose. If you haven't prospered as you desire, maybe it's not because opportunity is lacking. Maybe it's because preparation is lacking. Maybe you're not yet the type of person who can handle wealth without being corrupted by it. Stop chasing wealth. Start chasing wisdom. Stop trying to impress with what you have. Start transforming into what you can become. The world is full of rich men who are poor in soul. Men who have money but don't have peace. Who have possessions but don't have purpose. Who have full bank accounts but empty lives. Don't be another one of them. Be the man who prospers but remains humble, who enriches himself but stays with integrity, who accumulates but never forgets to give, who wins but helps others win too. This is my final advice to you, not as king speaking to subject, but as father speaking to son. True wealth isn't in having more, it's in being more. It's not in possessing much, it's in serving well. It's not in accumulating for yourself, it's in blessing others. When you understand this, really understand, prosperity will become inevitable because you will have become worthy of it. Now go, and may your life be a testimony that wealth and wisdom can walk together, that success and humility can coexist, that prosperity and purpose are inseparable. The kingdom of true wealth is within reach of those who have courage to seek it the right way. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes he's been chasing shadows, thinking they were substances, pursuing reflections, thinking they were realities, seeking applause when he should have been seeking purpose. Maybe that moment is now, while you listen to these words. Maybe it's tomorrow, when you wake up and look in the mirror. Or maybe it's years from now, when life forces you to stop and rethink everything. But when that moment comes, you'll remember what you learned here. You'll remember that true wealth was always a matter of character, not bank account. That real prosperity was always about serving, not accumulating. That wisdom was always more valuable than gold. Think of a century-old tree. Its roots don't hurry. They don't compete with other trees to grow faster. They simply go deeper, silently, patiently, until they find the source that never dries up. And when storms come, it remains firm. When drought arrives, it stays green. When other trees fall, it stands. Its roots are deep. This is the difference between those who build true wealth and those who just gather money, between those who prosper for decades and those who get rich for a few years, between those who leave legacy and those who leave only empty memories. If these words touch something inside you, if you recognize truths that your soul already knew but your mind had forgotten, then you're ready for the journey. Subscribe to this channel because there's much more wisdom waiting for you, not just about wealth, but about how to become the man you were created to be. The seed of transformation has already been planted. Now it's time to water it with discipline, nourish it with wisdom, and protect it with patience. The kingdom of true prosperity isn't in a hurry, but it always has room for those willing to pay the price of preparation.